So, AI in artwork is pretty controversial, but AI in video games? Well, I hate to tell you guys, but it's already deeply ingrained in the AAA studios, and getting more and more common. Jobs that used to take entire teams of game devs could soon be replaced entirely by an intern who knows how to use the generative AI of the week. And don't take that from me, EA's CEO is of the opinion that about 60% of game development will be impacted by AI in the next few years. Yeah, 60%. Seems like a lot more layoffs are coming to the video game industry soon enough. So let's talk about what the CEO of EA said. Now I know, EA doesn't have the best reputation with gamers, but it's important to follow what the important people at the big AAA studios say about these kinds of things, because it will eventually spread to other companies and eventually affect the entire industry. Generative AI is incredibly disruptive, and the CEOs of all the big companies love it because they can see how much easy cash they can save replacing people with it. I know a lot of you guys are gonna have the opinion that the real problem of it is whether or not the people whose data was used to train the AI, whether that's artwork, books, articles, or even just comments online, was collected ethically and with permission or not. And that's a valid concern, but the people who are in charge, they don't care and won't until it has some financial ramifications for them. And if it ends up having some, they'll just make their own models with their own training data they got in a way that is in line with whatever the law becomes. So basically, there's no way to stop this. It's coming no matter what, which is ironic because I think if you asked anyone 15 years ago, they'd say that the artistic industries would be the last to be impacted by AI, not the first. Anyway, the EA CEO, Andrew Wilson, gave a Q&A at the Morgan Stanley Technology, Media, and Telecom Conference to talk about generative AI and the impact and benefits that it'll have on the industry. GameDeveloper.com is reporting that when asked a question about how generative AI might impact or transform game businesses, the EA CEO responded that they've been using machine learning AI to refine their gameplay for a while, specifically how players run in the Madden games. But what he's really hopeful about is generative AI, that it is the most exciting form of the AI industry and can help with efficiency, expansion, and transformation. He's then quoted as saying, "The thing about efficiency, this is really about how do we make what we do more efficient. And for anyone who knows about our business, it's an incredibly iterative development cycle and incredibly time consuming, which is why games are now taking 6 or 7 years to build. And we've done a study across all of the processes of game development. About 60% of all of our processes have high feasibility to be possibly impacted by generative AI. Now, an example of that might be how we build a stadium in one of our sports games. That would typically take us 6 months. This past year, it took us 6 weeks. It's not unnatural for us to believe that in the coming years, it will take us 6 days. If you want to just roll that out across every aspect of development, we think there's meaningful efficiency we can drive. We don't have the map on it yet. I would tell you in the back of my mind, my orientation is, how can we use generative AI to make us 30% more efficient as a company? How in 3 years from today could we be 30% more efficient? The scary part is that he's probably not wrong. His estimates might seem a bit high, but he says they've done a study that shows 60% of their processes can be impacted by generative AI, and it could make companies 30% more efficient in the future. The fact of the matter is that those are probably conservative estimates. The more and more AI becomes accessible, the more tools allowing people to do more complicated tasks will pop up. I mean, why employ a team of game devs that rig 3D models when you can use an AI to rig the models and just pay one dude to fix any mistakes made by the AI? Over time, even that becomes easier because as you continue to train your AI using the changes that the human makes, eventually it'll stop making as many mistakes. That's just one tiny part of game development. But just like that, it's easy to see how tons of game devs could be laid off in the coming years. You can make similar arguments for most teams at these big studios. Anything that can be automated by AI, they just don't need the teams once the tech becomes available. Only a person or two to fix any mistakes. It's going to be very bad for game devs, but not all bad, obviously. It's not what most people in the games industry want to do, but it will probably massively increase the amount of people and teams needed for managing generative AI and training the models. So the jobs won't go away necessarily, just become less creative. Is there that big of a difference between training your AI to rig models by making and feeding models into its training data and actually making rigged models for the finished game? Depends on your outlook. If you're into the industry because you want to be artistic and express yourself, then no, you would hate doing that. But if you're just there to collect a paycheck, it just makes your day easier and takes away a lot of the stakes. For the artistic people, the upside is that as this tech becomes easier for the big companies, it will become easier for the average person to use. So, while the corporate jobs will probably be harder to get, it will probably become much easier to make your own indie game using the same AI tools that the companies are using to make up for gaps in your own personal skill set. I think that over the next few years, the rise of AI might actually backfire fire on the AAA studios, as we'll have an influx of indie passion project games, made by people who wouldn't have been able to make a game on their own just a few years earlier. And with a ton of good indie games on the market, who's gonna pay for an overpriced AAA game? Not me. So in conclusion, the EA CEO painted a bleak future where tons of people stand to lose their jobs in gaming to AI. But that future also has a bright side. Indie development will have never been easier. Always look on the flip side of the coin. You never know what you might find. But what do you guys think? Am I being optimistic? Are you pessimistic on this whole situation? Do you think it won't matter because AI will have dealt with us before it ever becomes a problem? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching all the way till the end. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day and God bless you.